to Learn Free Music Theory, lesson number 9. Oh yeah. Okay, so now, in this lesson what we're going to be covering is basically more on semitones and whole tones, except this time we're going to cover more on basically what's going on with the sheet music side of it. So basically, and I'm going to cover a couple things, some of them, and they sound super scary. It's like, no! So one of them is, it's called chromatic semitones, and the other is called diatonic, and the other is called enharmonic. Whoa! They sound so scary. No, not really. Well, I guess they do sound scary, but they really aren't. They're very simple. So I'm going to get into explaining those terms. And I'm also going to cover kind of whole tones, but basically how you write them on the sheet music. So let's get right into it. Alright, so the first thing we need to talk about is the two different types of main semitones we've got here. Okay, so the two words are chromatic and diatonic. They sound like scientific words that you should be like IQ of 748 to be able to say. Well, maybe not. But anyway, that'd be pretty crazy if someone had an IQ of 748, hey? You'd be like, what's the distance of the stars divided by the radius of the planet, you know, blah blah blah, and they'd be like, blah 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 blah. And you're like, oh, you're smart. Anyway, I'm not that smart. Sadly, I'm not. Anyway. But, okay, so what we're going to actually do is chromatic is very, very simple. All you have to think of is same. And diatonic, think of different. Okay? Now, what are the same and difference about? It's actually talking about where you draw them on the sheet music. So, notice here, I have chromatic, so it's a chromatic semitone. Now, where do I have them drawn? Oh, I have them both drawn on the same space. Now we're in the treble clef, so if you don't know your note names by now on the sheet music, you should go review that and learn it very well before you get onto this stuff, because it can be pretty hard. If you don't know what you're doing, you have to, you know, take a long time to read your sheet music. So make sure you learn your notes really well before you move on to this. So here, this is A. Now we have A natural, or just A, and we have A sharp, okay? So A sharp is actually this black note right here. So we have A, which is this white key here, going to A sharp, which is this black key right here. Now on a violin, you just go dun dun, right? You just move it up a semitone. If you're on an ocarina, you just move it up a semitone. If you're on a guitar, you just play the next fret up. So how you go about playing that is different on every instrument. But so for the basics of just learning to do this, you just know that when you see a sharp, it goes up a semitone. So there's two different ways of going about doing the same thing. So with a chromatic semitone, it's the same letter name that you use. So you're using A to A sharp. So see how it's the same? A to A sharp. Okay? Now where diatonic comes in is it's different. So they mean different letter name or different space on the sheet music. Because watch this. So I'm on A, which is the same as this one, but now I'm going to B flat. So I have a B up here with a flat, so it's B flat. So, okay, I'm on B. Now if I go down a semitone, it takes me to the black key. Well, wait a minute. Isn't that a black key too, and it's the exact same one? So you can have A and A sharp and A and B flat, and you can get to the same place. See, people understood this a long time ago, and they're like, oh, so we have to call these two different types of semitones because they are the same thing, but you go about it different ways. So you see how diatonic, you use different letter names, and chromatic, you use the same letter names to do the same things. Okay? So both of these are doing the exact same thing. If I was playing this on the piano, and I saw that written and that written, I would still play the exact same thing. I'd go da da. Here, if it's like da da, and here da da, same thing. Okay? That's all you have to know about that. Is chromatic is the same, diatonic is different. Okay? Now, the types that you're going to have to use are always changing. Okay? Like, well, basically, yeah, I guess I'm kind of going ahead of myself now. But basically what you have to do is, with this chromatic and diatonic, just look, is it on the same note, or is it on the same space or the same line? because I could just move this up and have them on like D and D sharp, and I could have D and E flat, right? Same thing, except it'd be on the lines and space, it'd like be on a different area. So it can be on line or space, or this one's always going to be space and line or line and space. So it's different, and that's the same. Okay? So I hope I've made that point very, very clear, because that part can be sometimes confusing, but not that bad. It's pretty simple. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so next up is whole tones. Now, I have a little kind of fun game for you right now. On this board here, all these are whole tones. Every single one of them, except for one. There's one group of 2 notes. So right here I have F to G, A to B, D sharp to E sharp. So E flat to F, B flat to C, E to F sharp. I have A to G, I have B flat to A flat, and I have E to F. Now out of all of these, there's only one that isn't a whole tone. Now I'll pause the video and see if you can figure out which one it is. Okay, so you did it? Okay. So if you know the answer, say it out loud. Okay, here is the answer. It is E to F. That's the only one that's not actually a whole tone. The whole purpose of doing this exercise is to show you that it can be very deceiving what a whole tone is and what it isn't. And the only way that you can really know is you kind of have to visualize where the whole tones are. Now, why it's so difficult is because you have, you know, on like a keyboard is probably the best illustration of why it's difficult. My marker is not working very well. I need to get a new one. Okay. Now, in between, see how we have these groups of 2 and 3? Right? Okay, now what happens right here? Okay, so here I have D, and then in between D, I have a D sharp, and then I have E. And here I have C, C sharp, and D. Now I could call C sharp also D flat too, but it doesn't really matter. I have a note in between these 2 white keys. Now here, between E and F, do I have a note in between? Nope, I do not. So since I don't have a note in between, this is automatically called a semitone, because it's the very next note up. It's even tuned that way. It sounds the same difference between E flat and E, or D and D flat, or D and D sharp. It sounds the same in the distance wise. So this is a semitone. So what does that do? It throws a wrench in the chain. So I have from E to F. It's a classic trick question when you're doing like tones and semitones and whole tones. E to F. It's not a whole tone. From E to F is a semitone. So how do you make a whole tone? Well, I have tons of examples here where it is a whole tone. So right here, E to F sharp. Okay, E. Now, in between, so I need a note in between the E. And the F sharp goes here. So see how right now I have a note in between? Now I have a whole tone. So E to F sharp is a whole tone. Now I also have the reverse, E flat to F. So E flat is here to F. See now I have a note in between these 2. Right there. So that is how confusing it can be. So that's why I was saying before that it's important to visualize the keyboard, because it helps you understand, and you're like, okay, is there 2 notes in between there? Yes. So that means it's a whole tone. Or, yeah, that's basically why it's very helpful. So that would be the whole reason why I was doing this whole test thing. So basically a whole tone, other ways to easily see a whole tone is you just have to make sure, like a whole tone is whenever one of these weird things isn't involved. See how it goes from A to B? A to B, that's a whole tone. How about D sharp to E sharp? So D sharp to E sharp. Yep, that's a whole tone. See how that could also be called F and E flat, just like I have it here? So this and this are actually the exact same thing, note-wise. Isn't that weird? That's the next thing we're going to get into. It's called, well, I might as well just teach it right now. Next thing is called an inharmonic interval. So it sounds scary, but it's really not. Inharmonic, all it means is that it's the same note, but it's a different name. So just like these are the exact same notes that I'm playing, because D sharp is right here, E flat is right here. Then I have F right here, and I have E sharp right there. So this is E, so if I go up one to E sharp, I'm on F as well. So those share the exact same notes, or frequencies, but they have different letter names completely. So because of the whole flat and sharp different thing, that's one of the problems that you get with stuff. So basically that is inharmonic intervals right there, or inharmonic notes, I should have said. Intervals come later. Okay, so that's a whole tone. So whole tone is basically anything where it goes up with something in between. Okay? I think you should probably definitely know about that by now, because I just keep drilling it into you. But this whole exercise is to show you how sketchy it can be to find them. But see how it's going from a B flat to an A flat? Well look, B flat to A flat. Okay? I always like to take the white key first, my basic tone, and then I apply, if it's a flat I go down. So B flat. So think of this note coming from here, so it's like this. If this is an A sharp, then it's coming from A to sharp, A sharp. Okay? I think that's good enough. So yeah. Okay. So that's flats, and so enharmonic tones. So just one more quick thing on that, and then we're basically done everything. So A sharp is here, but B flat is here. So A sharp, B flat, or G sharp, A flat, F sharp, G flat. They're all the same. Those are inharmonic tones, okay? And that's it. So now it's homework time. Okay. No. Okay, so for the homework, this is what we've got. I want you to draw 80. So basically 40 chromatic semitones. So when you draw it, try to draw like in whole notes and try to mix it up. Maybe do 10 on the treble clef and 10 on the bass clef, and try to mix it up as much as possible so you're using a combination of sharps and flats, and try to think up new things. Make sure that you have your keyboard thing in front of you so you can make sure that you're doing the right amount, because it has to only be one key to the next physical key. And for chromatic, it's always going to be the same key, okay? Or the same letter name. Now in diatonic, you might have a little bit more trouble. Maybe not, maybe you will. Because you have to think about the rule between the E and the F, right? Because if you just write E and F, you've got a diatonic semitone. Some people go, oh, they'll just write it mindlessly and they'll go E to F flat. But now you're just writing the same tone. So you have to watch a little bit with diatonic, where you don't really have to with chromatic semitones, because you can just write E, E sharp, and it'll be right. Okay, so there's diatonic, so 20 diatonic in treble clef and bass clef. Then I want you to draw 20 whole tones. And so what you're going to do there is you're going to put them, 10 in treble, 10 in bass clef, and use again whole notes, and try to mix it up. Use sharps and flat combinations, go across the E and F thing and try to make those up, and then also just do like ones that are in between that are fine. Anyway, just basically experiment with it, but make sure that you double check every one with your keyboard chart to make sure that they're not touching, because with whole tones they have to be something in between them, okay? Alright, now inharmonic tones, I want you to draw 20 of these. What I want you to do is target the same key and describe it in two different ways. So if you're playing a D, or sorry, that's a bad example because you don't know double flats or double sharps or anything. Okay, say you targeted a D sharp, okay? I want you to draw a D sharp and an E flat. So put a D sharp and E flat and like describe it in the same way and put those together, okay? Or target another note. So you can just try to describe each one two different ways. Usually you're going to have to do like the black key. Although with the F key, say you're doing F, you could write F and E sharp and that would describe the same key. Okay? So do those in groups of 2 to describe one note. Alright? And do 20 of those. And when you do all that, just make sure that you understand what the differences between all of these are, and you should be good to go. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed that, and take care, and yeah. I am very brainless right now. I just taught all day and bright lights in my eyes. It was actually pretty fun doing this lesson and the last one too, so. Yeah, I usually do like 2 or more at a time, and so this is the second one. Anyway, so yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that, and take care and keep going. And you're actually getting somewhere in theory if you've gotten this far so far. You'll probably start to have more of an understanding. Probably in the next maybe 10 more lessons you should be quite good. Like, you'll have a pretty solid foundation. Okay, so let's keep going. See ya.